Hey, Martha, these are depositions that former IRS executive Lois Lerner and her deputy Holly Paz gave for lawsuits that were filed by the Tea Party in the nation's capital and in Ohio. Remember, Lerner was in the Cincinnati office. Now Lerner is asking a federal court to keep the testimonies private forever. Her lawyers argued that releasing them publicly would put her and her family at risk. Quoting, returning Ms. Lerner and Paz to the media spotlight places them at risk regardless of what they actually said in those depositions. Lois Lerner singled out Tea Party leader Mark Meckler for stoking the threats against her by referring to IRS agents as, quote, criminal thugs. Meckler responded, quoting again, 4 years of harassing innocent American citizens for their political beliefs, and she's scared of a guy in a cowboy hat talking to a bunch of little old ladies at a Tea Party event? Meckler went on to say, quote, the reality is because she knows she is guilty as the day is long, and she doesn't want people to know what she actually did. When Lois Lerner was brought before Congress to testify in 2013, she refused by asserting her Fifth Amendment rights. The Justice Department under President Obama chose not to prosecute the case, saying Lerner was correct to assert the Fifth, and went on to call her a bright spot who tried to curtail the IRS targeting of conservative groups. But last month, the DOJ under Trump agreed to a multi-million-dollar settlement with Tea Party groups who were targeted, quote, based solely on viewpoints or ideology. And the government now says that Lois Lerner did not stop the targeting of Tea Party groups and, in fact, hid the behavior from her superiors. We should note the Cincinnati Enquirer is also fighting, along with many others, to get those depositions of Lois Lerner, Holly Paz unsealed and find out what they said.
Wow.
Martha.
All right. Trace, thank you very much. Governor Mike Huckabee, former presidential candidate and a Fox News contributor, is here tonight to weigh in on this. They think that they need some protection. They really do not want anybody to see what they said in those depositions, Governor.
Yeah, I got a great idea for a safe place. It's called a federal prison. Look, what these guys did was incredibly illegal. And the fact that the taxpayers of America, you and me, we had to spend $3.5 million settling a claim says there was a claim to be settled. Martha, I am seething with rage that somebody thinks that they can abuse the public office that they hold, abuse the taxpayers they work for, basically use the power of government to trample people's constitutional rights and then act like that, please protect me. Well, look, I don't want anyone to get hurt, but if you think there's a threat, call the cops. But in the meantime, we need to have the cops on you being Lois Lerner and Holly Paz. This is outrageous, and we need to know what's in those records. They're public records. That's misdoing by public officials.
So, I mean, that decision is going to be up to the Justice Department at this point. These cases have been settled. They've been paid out. So now's the point where this kind of thing would be released for the public to take a look at. They have every right to take a look at it, as you say. They paid for the investigation. So they're going to have to convince the Justice Department that they have a case here, right?
Well, it shouldn't be that hard to convince the Justice Department. How could they not prosecute? Martha, if you don't pay your taxes, do you think you'll get away with it?
Nope.
If you lie to the IRS, will you get away with it?
Nope.
Why can the IRS then lie to us, trample over us? And let's remember something about the IRS. It's the only government agency that can launch an investigation, conduct the investigation, conclude what the investigation showed, and then adjudicate it by punishing somebody. It's a one-stop shop. And I think, frankly, somebody ought to file a lawsuit that the IRS is unconstitutional because nowhere else in government can one entity completely ignore checks and balances and have some other branch of government looking over their shoulder. This is one agency run amok. We need to put them out of business, and the people who have abused their power, they need to do more than go out of business. Honestly, and I'm not just saying this, some of these folks should be in prison because the rest of us would be had we done something like that. It's just outrageous.
I think you'd get a lot of people behind you if you ran for president with that idea.